Hey guys, I want to make a video that covers some material that we didn't get to in class, and it's part of your homework where we're referencing a different script. And let me give you a scenario where we have a script that maybe has information or values regarding lives or health, and has maybe a function that adds value to health. And we have a separate script on a different object that wants to access those values or a function. How might we reference the other script and make a connection so that we can access those? Let me show you what we've done so far in class. We have maybe a character or an object that has a health manager script to it, and currently it's attached to this object. And quickly looking at that script, the health manager script, we have a variable that says lives and health, and it has some values to it. And we also have two functions, one that runs in addition to the health variable, so the value changes from whatever it is plus 10, and another one that subtracts 10. If we were to run this, you can see that in start, we give it values of 3 lives and 100 health, and then we add 10 to it. If we were to run this, since this script, this health manager script, is attached to an object in the scene, it'll execute. And you can see in our console that it's 110. It starts at 100 and then adds 10 to it. Let's say that we have an enemy on the scene, right? And let me remove this. This enemy wants to access how many lives we have and maybe execute the decrease health script. Rather than attaching that health manager script onto the new object, we want to write a script that accesses that specific script on the character. So how do we do that? Let's go and we're going to have to make a connection through code that finds this game object and then links the script that's attached to the character, this one right there, in code. So we're going to go to our enemy. I'm going to create a new script, and I'm going to name it enemy script. Then when I want to load it, I can double click on this guy. You can see that it says enemy script there, matches the same name that's attached to our enemy. And so here are the steps that we want to do to make that connection, or use a reference variable. First, we need to, number one, declare a reference variable. And this can either be one of two things. Either a reference variable for the game object, and when I say game object, it could be any object within the scene. This enemy is a game object. This character is a game object. And within this character object, there are different parts to it. Then that's a game object, and this is a game object. These are child game objects of this parent game object. And attached to this character is a component, which is the health manager. Getting back to the code, we can either make a reference variable for the game object or a reference variable for the script, the health manager script. We're going to do the first method, and we're going to create a game object reference variable, and so we're going to say that this is going to be the character. So what we're going to do is we have this variable. We're going to link this variable on the enemy script to this character game object, because we know on this game object is the health manager's script, and we want to be able to take away health or add health to it. So now that we've created step 1, let's declare a reference variable is 2 at start. Link or connect the reference variable to the instance, to the game object instance. So this instance I'm referring to is this specific game object and not any other game object, and one that is on the scene. And so we need, here's the specific way to do it. We're going to use the find method to do this. And again, anything in comments doesn't get executed. It's mainly for us to understand what's going on. So what we're going to do is we're going to point or make reference to, say, character equals the game object dot find, and you can see that this code is going to look for a string name, and so we can type in the game object's name specifically. Right now the name of this game object is character, and so it has a capital C. I need to make note of that. So when I'm looking for that specific game object, I need to type in character. If I'm looking for a different game object with a different name, then I would have to type in that name, and I would say GameObject.find, and that links the character game object to this reference variable. From there, there's the third step. The third step is referencing the specific script that's on this game object, because we want to be using the decrease health. Let's say the enemy is hurting it, so we want to call this function that's living on this health manager script, right? It's also the name of the class, and so within the enemy script, we need to access that function using the character reference that we have. So we're going to say we want to use the character dot get component, and we understand that a component is either a renderer or a script or another thing that we can add to a game object. In this case, this component is a script. So what we're going to do is get component. We're going to start out by using angle brackets and then name specifically the script or the class that we want to access. And in this case, it is the health manager that we're trying to get to. And so we can't have spaces or anything. It's the same name here. We're trying to reference that. And so we're going to say health manager, close angle brackets, open and close parentheses. And then we can, after we add that period or that dot, you can see that these are the available methods to it. And you can see that the add health, which is what was on this script, is available to us now. And I can say, I don't want the add health, I want the decrease health. And I'll call that function there. So once we hit play, it's going to go through these steps here. It's going to create a reference variable. It's going to find that character by name. Because we named it character, it's going to look for a game object named character. And then from that, it's going to look for the health manager script or class that's attached to it. So we're almost ready to go. We should be able to hit play soon. But one thing I wanted to do before that is, let's notice what happens here. We have a script that executes code in start for the enemy script and also in start for the health manager. And since they could be happening at the same time or really close, we might run into some problems, because this is when we actually initialize the values of 3 lives and 100 health. And if that's happening and we're doing the decrease health code as well in start around the same time, we might be actually subtracting 10 when we have 0 health. So let's just try to make sure that this is giving us some time in between to give us 100 health and 3 lives. So let's initialize those values before start. So I'm saving that. Make sure I'm hitting build. Make sure I put an equal sign there. and eliminating these variables. So it should look like this. We took out the lives equals 3 and health equals 100 from the start and put in it here. And then we also want to comment out this add health because we don't want our character to be adding health to itself. We can take those two lines out. So the only scripts that are running outside of the initialization is the enemy script calling decrease health. And the way it's doing it again is we're creating a reference variable called character and then linking this variable to this specific character here by finding the game object called or named character, which is specifically this guy, and this guy has the health manager script to it. And so when we say we have the character, we're going to look for this particular component named health manager, and then we're going to call a specific method or function called decrease health, and that lives here. So we expect that our character is going to start out with 100 health. We have it here, and then it's going to find the character, find the script, call the function on that script, which is going to take 10 away from health. And we expect that it's going to take 10 away and then print out the value of what we expect to be 90. So let's go back into Unity now, and I'm going to clear this and hit play. And there it is. There's 90. That's our health that we expected to see. And just to make sure that's happening, let's have two lines of code that we have from the enemy script. So this script again is living on the enemy. The enemy script is on the enemy character, not attached to our character over here. And we can call it just another line just to make sure that we're doing it the way that it's doing the way that we want. We're going to call get component health. Let's just copy paste it. Let's do it twice. So we should expect to see 90 and then 80 below that. Great. So it's doing it. We created a reference variable. So this is one way to do it. I suggest you look at this script, pause it, copy that down, and then copy and save that, because I'm going to show you a different way now. So we created a reference variable for that game object, right? And I told you that we could also create a reference variable for the health manager script. Let's go ahead and do this. What I'm going to do is comment out this other code because we're not going to use that now. I'm going to show the other way to create a reference to it, and it's going to use a very similar way of that we just did. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a reference variable for the health manager script this time. Last time we created a variable for the game object. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a health manager script, and so the type of this variable is going to be health manager the same way that we spelled this guy. So health manager, and then that's the type, and then we need to give it a variable name, and I'm just going to call it HM for short. There we need to make a link or connect that reference variable. And what we're going to do is very similar to how we did it here. Remember how we did find object, find character object, and link it to character? In this case, we're going to link it to the health manager, which we called HM. So HM is going to equal game object dot find. It looks really similar to what we did before. We're going to find that character object again, and instead of just stopping there, we're going to double down on what we did before and actually use this part of it and use get component health manager and link it to this variable. Since this variable is actually a reference for a health manager, we can go ahead and say that we're looking for this particular component and link it there. And then the third step would be calling hm dot decrease health, that specific function that is on the health manager. So this is the second way to do it, and when we run this, we would expect 90 in our console. Ooh, doesn't like it. What did I do wrong? find object. Oh, I spelled character wrong. So if you misspell it, then it's not going to be able to find the object. So we want to make sure that we spell everything and not do what I just did. So I'm going to go back, hit play, and there it is, 90. Just to prove that it's actually working, again, we're going to say HM and decrease health again. So we should be able to see 90, 80 after we hit play. There we go. If we wanted to manipulate some values without calling explicit functions, we want to make sure that we have a public variables. And let's say that we want to change lives from 3 to 5. We could do that. We can say hm.lives. We can access that because now that we've made that link, MonoDevelop is going to show that we can access that. So lives is now going to equal 5 on HM, right? Because right now we don't have lives as a local variable on this script, right? We're accessing this guy over here because of that reference. And then we can print just to make sure how many lives there are. And when we do that, we need to make sure we say hm.lives. Give you a second to copy that. So when we print this out on console, we should expect 90, 80, and then 5. Clear this just to start out blank. Hit play. 90, 80, 5. Great. I hope this video helps. If you have any questions, please email me. I have both my sections looking at this, so let me know if this helps you or if you need more information. Thanks.